Hi and welcome to JJ's Productions. We've got another Stoke City vlogcast. We're going to be previewing West Brom versus Stoke City. Here with me as always is Jan. How are you doing?
I'm okay, thanks, son.
So, West Brom, what do you think of West Brom in general?
Not a lot really. I'm here again, but miss negative, I'm sorry. But they're a good team, and then they can be a bad team. They're neither here or there, in my opinion.
I suppose you could argue Stoke have been like that in previous years. Well, not necessarily in the Premiership years, but in our history in general. You know, we've always been the bridesmaids, never the bride.
Yeah, I think that's really what I'm saying, that we are like them. We've never won anything, they haven't won anything, but we keep going.
Well, for me, it's always been one of the bigger fixtures in the season. I mean, for those of you who don't know, maybe you've only just started watching the vlogcast, I became a football supporter in general back in 2007, approximately. It was, 2006 actually. It was after the World Cup that year. And really, for me, Stoke City versus West Brom has always been a derby. You know, I've never seen a game against Port Vale or Crewe. So this is one of the games I've always looked forward to, and I'm actually quite excited seeing the Championship tie because I think we've both got, on paper, strong squads. So it could be a very tasty fixture.
I mean, the time I liked West Brom was when Jeff Astle played for them.
Mm.
What a gentleman, both off the field as well. He was a lovely, lovely man. And I had met him on quite a few occasions, being introduced to him by Gordon Banks. I used to go down to watch him train, and Jeff Astle always used to come down the day before. So on the Friday, I'd be there watching him train, and Gordon would introduce me to a few players, not a lot, but a few. And he did happen to introduce me to Jeff Astle. And I loved West Brom then. I used to follow them as a team, but only because of that man, the man.
I mean, I find that interesting just for the fact that to me it's a different world. I know these things do happen, yet I can't actually believe there was a time when it used to happen. It's just something with, you know, you've got multi-million-pound footballs. It's hard to imagine that you can actually have an era of football where it was like that.
Oh, it was, love. I mean, I used to go down with June, my friend, and we'd just stand at the training pitch and watch them. Sometimes we were the only ones there, but it didn't matter. And it was a good atmosphere. The players used to come and talk to you, and it was good. It's saying when on a Saturday after the match they come into the club, the Stoke Supporters Club, and they'd have a drink in there, and we got to know them. I mean, Terry Conroy, I used to play cards with him, you know, and John Mahoney, I went out with him. So, you know, it was also different back then. That now you wouldn't dream of seeing the players in, you know.
It'd be very hard to imagine. I mean, I think the closest I can imagine it is that we've got Ryan and Kath Shawcross, and I think that's more after the fact that she's a Stoke fan. I might be mistaken. Maybe Kath could correct me there, but as far as I know, she became a Stoke fan after Ryan started playing for the club.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's as far as I know, but yeah, I just find that whole idea interesting because I just don't see footballers nowadays mingling with supporters, let alone actually interacting with them on a friend or more basis, you know.
Well, I went into, Gordon Banks asked me to go into the training room, you know, after training, and they were going in for the showers, and I actually saw Alan Boiler in the nuddy, and I just didn't know where to put my face. I was only young then, you know, I mean young, and I went as red as the strip, but he just turned round and said, "Hiya, Jan," as if it was nothing. And these are the things I remember of good times with the football. I know we went a bit off what we were talking about, but I think it's interesting for you to know as well, Josh, that these things did once happen.
I mean, I just find it interesting because I have pointed out before, my mum's in her 60s now, and, when we do go to the matches, she gets drawn in by the men in the team, obviously. And, when John Walters was playing for us, she'd sort of, I was going to say she'd woo herself, and...
He's lush.
Yeah, so I dread to think what my teenage mother would have been like, I've got to admit, but it's quite an image, I think if ever there was a way to bring the Wolves down and make it a bit more like that, maybe not to the point where people can just go walking in the dressing room willy-nilly, pardon a bit of a pun there, but if they could actually have a bit more interaction with the players, it would be good, but I think that'll only ever happen if wages come down, because...
Well, my claim to fame, actually, Josh, was I think it was 1973 when we played Santos. And I was just stood outside and I saw the door open to the Vic, where the players' entrance. And I thought, so in I snuck. And there was this lad that just stood beside me, and he was from Everton, and obviously come to see Pele. And I said, come on, quick. And I grabbed him and we ran up these stairs. Now, Gordon Banks was my hero and still is to this day. So I went into the room where all these players and dignitaries were and Gordon Banks eyed me. And he says, how have you got in here? I said, I saw the door open. I said, so I've run up. So he says, I suppose you want Pele's autograph, do you? I said, no, I'll have yours again. And I must have added 1,000 times to my thoughts. But yes, I did get Pele's autograph and the rest of the Santos team. And I was there for about an hour. And it was a nice night.
I mean, I've heard this story before, but what I always love hearing about it is the idea that she wasn't going in there to meet Pele or the Santos team, it was Gordon Banks. I mean, it just goes to show how much of a Gordon Banks fan, let alone a Stoke City fan, my mum was. I mean, well, was and is. I think if she met Gordon now, she'd probably go weak at the knees. Please don't meet her, Gordon, she's already got weak knees. But I'm going to say, it's just one of those things where you look and you go, if only it was a bit more like that.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, you do have the occasional meet and greets with the players nowadays. I mean, a couple of years ago, we wanted to go to the Asmir Begovic and Gordon Banks meet and greet event. But I think I was working that night, so I had to bail out. But it was one of those things where, if it was possible, you would have loved it just to meet Gordon again.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's truly a wonderful man. And I cried buckets when he lost his sight. And he came to see me in hospital with one of my operations. And I did go to see him. And it was devastating to look at him. Such a wonderful, wonderful man, and his career cut short. So, anyway, back to West Brom.
Well, I've got to get us back on track somehow, and I think the best way to do that is to just go back to Tuesday and the game against Huddersfield, because I think it was a surprising performance in the sense that, don't get me wrong, we came off the back of a good result against Hull, but as much as I thought we could get a win against Huddersfield, I wasn't expecting such a good performance as well. I was expecting maybe the same sort of cagey performance that we got against Hull.
Yeah.
So, by the sounds of it, we were very much on top against Huddersfield. Maybe the changes they made had an impact there, but I think it was very encouraging for Stoke supporters who did attend. Yeah,
I mean, okay, when we saw the empty stand, I was devastated when I saw, I still call it our stand. We used to sit there.
It'd be the East Stand, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And I thought, it should be full, really.
if anyone who has actually worked at Stoke City in the ticket office or anywhere like that could answer this question, I would appreciate it. But I have to wonder why, when there's a televised fixture, or at least something like that game where it will be seen on television, why don't they get the supporters to sit in the East Stand, as I'm calling it, and the Bootham end before filling up the West Stand? I have to think which one call it then. You know, so it really does surprise me because it makes the stadium look empty.
Yeah.
Why not just try and make it look a bit more full? It's a personal preference on my part, but I'd like it to look more intimidating so that supporters of other clubs will look and go, hey, they bought some this week.
Yeah.
You know, even if the attendance figures then tell a different story, just people looking on it at a glance will think differently.
Yeah, there was it 7,290 something there?
Well, I'll go and take your word for it. Last I heard it was in the 10,000s, so maybe I misheard.
Right. I just thought I heard the number 7,290.
You could be right.
I don't know, don't quote me on it. But it didn't look like that because what we were watching is an empty stadium virtually. And like Josh said, you need to think about it and put them on that side so that supporters can be seen. And that's just our little bugbear, wasn't it?
Yeah,
when we saw it.
I mean, considering we were trying to get to talking about the West Brom game, it is something that is quite relevant because I think having a visual presence in a game like that just gives opposition supporters that little bit of just a mental bit of fear in the sense that they might go, ooh, they've got a few, and even for a cup game of little relevance, just trick the opposition supporters into thinking that way. Even if the West Stand is empty, just make it look like the East Stand is full.
I mean, I would have liked to have seen the fans' reaction when Berahino scored.
By all accounts, they were jumping up for joy. I mean, I think anyone with a Stoke connection was. I think the only people who wouldn't is the West Brom fans who've probably been joking about it for the last couple of years.
But I just wish we could have seen the reaction, and we didn't.
Yeah, I mean, you have to give Berahino credit. I think even he was a bit flummoxed about scoring. He didn't know how to celebrate it had been that long.
Hey, love, you won a bet on that.
Hey, I did. I put, how much was it? I put £1 on each way for him to score, just because I wasn't sure when he'd score. And I got a tenner off it, so Saido, I did back you again in that game, and thank you very much. You rewarded me for it.
I do think this will be the start of a good run. I think all we needed was that one goal.
I think the important thing is he's got a manager who seems to be backing him.
Yeah, definitely.
Ever since that goal, every Stoke article I've read has had Berahino's name in it.
Yeah.
And it's as if the club are trying to flood his name in the media and make people remember him or try and bring him back to the front of our team, which I think is something he will thrive on with good service and all the usual things you do need in a team.
But I honestly think it could be the start of good things. I hope I'm right. I really hope I'm right, because I think this is just what he needed to start him. He's got his engine revving now and he's raring to go.
Another thing, there are 2 more Stoke players returning to the Hawthorns in this game. We have got Darren Fletcher, who's making his second appearance there for Stoke. And we've also got James McClean, who's making his first return to the club he used to play for. I think out of the 2 of them, McClean will get the worst reaction. For anything, just for how he handled his departure in the summer.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, Stoke fans were quite divided on his politics, but I think West Brom fans have essentially just turned the other side now and said, right, you're the enemy now. So
I
maybe I'm
reckon
mistaken.
I reckon he could play up to that.
He certainly seems to revel in being the pantomime villain.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of a good performance that might bring out of him, but I do look forward to seeing a reaction if it comes.
I just hope it's the reaction is, I'll show that lot.
Mm-hmm.
You can boo me all you want, but I'm going to score or do something good here.
I mean, the bottom line is, I'm playing up the ex-West Brom players here, but as long as we get a win, we don't care who scores. If it's Jack Butland who gets the goal, I don't care, to be honest.
Oh, well, excuse me. What a second goal, though. Sorry, I had to interrupt. We've got to bring that second goal up. That was just magnificent.
Juninho Bacuna, you have got one hell of a own goal to your name.
Oh, blinking heck. I have never, ever seen an own goal like it.
I mean, in fairness, I know it was late in the game and he was probably tired, but that was one hell of a hit.
It served him right for going playing midfield.
Well, when you think it was the goalie...
That's who I'm on.
I was going to say the goalie was an idiot. I know it was 1-0 and you're in a cup tie still, but it's like, really? You're not going to run back a bit more?
It was pure magic, that was.
Yeah, I mean, against West Brom, I think we're still in the need of that sort of luck. Just in the sense that West Brom have got a very potent attack with Jay Rodriguez and Dwight Gale leading it. And you just look at their defence. I'm not sure if Craig Dawson's ready to come back in yet, or if they're going to stick with the young lad they played at right back, who I can't pronounce his surname yet. But where I see it, they've got a strong back line, they've got a strong front line. The midfield isn't too bad, even though maybe it's getting on the older side. So the bottom line is, can we just take advantage of the midfield? Because we've got our own new player in Ryan Wood. I was about to do Jonathan Ross then. I don't think he'll start this game, but I am looking forward to seeing him get some minutes.
Maybe they'll put him on the bench and just bring him on for the last 10
he
or something.
He seems a nice, tidy midfielder. You know, I don't think he's the destroyer that some supporters wanted, but I think he could be a nice... I always go to this player, an Andre Pirlo or a Xavi, you know, just someone who can always find space to get on the ball, you know, and then redistribute it. I think that's the sort of player we're in need of.
Well, maybe we've got it.
I mean, it's hard to know at this point. I mean, I think the fact that he once had a connection with Stoke will help as well. He's not completely new to the club, so it will benefit us in the long run, I would hope. And I can't help but... think about Liam Lawrence and the fact that he gave him a lot of praise for the time they spent together at Shrewsbury, and I think I do really trust Liam when it comes to his opinions on players, and if he says you've got a player here, I'm backing his opinion full stop, because I'm going to say he was one of the best players we had during promotion and then staying up. If he says he's good, I'm backing his opinion.
That's it. And also I listened to Danny Higginbotham. I listen to him, and he does talk some sense about Stoke, and he calls a spade, and that's what I like about Danny.
Just before we started this, actually, I saw a tweet from Danny Higginbotham. He was talking about Berahino, and he was saying how Gary Rowett has got Saido Berahino scoring again. And I don't know who the opposition supporter was, but someone said, "You've got him scoring again. He scored one goal." And Danny was quite quick to the mark to say, "Yes, so he's got him scoring again." You know, and I understand his point of view. You know, he has got a goal, therefore he is scoring again. You know, as long as it isn't another 2.5 years until he scores his next goal, I think it's safe to say he is back on track in some way.
Well, I think he's definitely there. I think this is all we needed. He's got his confidence back now, hopefully.
Yeah, I think that is the bottom line. He's in a position that I think he's enjoying at the moment. He's not exactly the main man up front, but he is involved. You know, I don't think... there was a talk at some point, I think, of someone saying, could he play out wide? And I'm thinking, but that isn't exactly his strengths. Whereas I think putting him just behind the front man, it means that they can dovetail. You know, he can Saido can come short if he wants. He can go on the back line if he wants. It just gives him positional freedom. Whereas Afobe is the focal point. Or Peter Crouch, as it was against Hull.
I mean, like you say, Afobe, we can't knock him really.
I mean, it's quite hard to say that after we're on 5 games now, and he's only got 2 goals. You could sort of go, could he have done more? But I think that might just be pre-season hype after a very good start as well. So I'm staying patient over Afobe. I want to see just a better performance in general, but I'm still happy to give him some time.
It's like I always say about Stoke. It takes them a while to get settled in after the summer break. So they come back and they still got their holiday shorts on and not the football shorts, in my opinion. But sooner or later they get their act in gear and we start winning. We've got 2 wins now. I'm hoping this is the period where they're now back in the football shorts and the summer is behind them. And it's always been like that. And, you know, it's like when they're playing, for the first 15 minutes, they don't play because they're still warming up in their minds.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty bad when you can say to yourself, right, I'll come 15 minutes later, the next 75 are going to be better. But it is something even I've got used to watching Stoke, so it's very rare to see a quick start, isn't it?
Yeah, it's as if they think, right, 15 minutes are up, I'll start playing now, I've warmed up.
Maybe they should send them out 15 minutes early, do the warm-up. You know, maybe that'll get rid of it, we could have a full 90-minute performance then.
I mean, on the rare occasion they have scored early, you think, oh my God, what happened?
I'm just trying to remember, the 6-1 against Liverpool, I don't think the first goal was that fast, was it? But,
it wasn't.
But then we got in at 5-0 half-time, so it can happen. I mean,
you must have, all the Stokies who were there, you know, it was a lovely night, that. And you just looked at them and thought, this side here could beat anybody.
I mean, just going back to the team we're going to face, I think the other week when West Brom beat QPR, was it 7-1?
Yeah,
I think a lot of West Brom fans would have had a similar opinion. And then they found out that when you go and face Tony Pulis after having him as a manager, you don't win the game.
Yeah.
I am dreading playing Middlesbrough this season, and it's just purely because he seems to have a knack against his former clubs, even generations apart.
Yeah. I just hope we prove it wrong this time, and let's go for a win.
Oh, of course. I mean, if anything, when Pulis was the manager at the West Brom, I essentially writ off the games because I just thought he's got that thing over us where the Indian mark, is it called, or just some, where you just know you're not going to get the result because he's got some voodoo over you. Whereas now it has gone. Well, my feeling is we have gone back to the old idea of we always beat the baggies, and let's hope it remains that way.
Yeah, I hope so as well. How about a prediction?
Well, I actually like the prediction the game came up with this week, so I'm going to go for 2-1 Stoke, and I'm going to hope that Berahino gets his goal against his former club.
I'm going to go for, let me think, I've got to go 1-0.
1-0?
To Stoke.
Of course. So, this has been Josh and Jan from JJ's Productions. I hope you've enjoyed this week's vlogcast. There are more available online if you wish to hear our thoughts on previous games. But that's it for this week. I hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.
Ta-ta, folks.